Welcome to lesson number 9 on customer niche profit ranking and then figuring out how to dominate one niche at a time. In this particular case study, a WayPoint client had 4,000 active accounts. And by going down their overall customer profitability ranking report and putting these accounts in different piles, they were able to come up with actually 19 different segments or niches of customers that they went after. When you do that, WayPoint can then sum up all of the customer profitability by niche, give you a bar chart that looks like what you're seeing. Well, they were shocked to go up at the top, you see the big green line up there, to find out that only 150 accounts out of 4,000, maybe it's about 4% of their accounts, were giving them basically the equivalent of their operating profit. So, the total operating profit for the company was around you go to the bottom of the report and see that it was 926,000, whereas the number one niche was generating 949,000. So a little bit more than the total operating profit from just 150 accounts. And this is the key: they thought they were breaking even on these customers. Turns out these were municipal facilities that bought big volumes of stuff on a bid basis. So they tried to just be on all the bid lists. They tried to bid these things. And they did it sort of quote for the volume. It'll help us keep our suppliers happy. It'll help us move trucks more often. It's probably break even, but what the hell? Well, what they didn't realize, of course, is that these companies, these particular kinds of customers would buy, they'd send typically an electronic order that would average $5,000 to $7,000 per order. So when you've got 15–16% margin times $7,000, it's a lot of margin dollar for the cost of messing with paperwork, stopping a truck, and so forth. So they actually made good money on these accounts. The second shockaroo was when they went down to the second from the bottom red bar. That was 1,600 accounts. 40% of all their accounts were losing them $283,000. Now, these were self-employed mom and pop facilities that would buy, one widget at a time. But their margin percent was 35%. Their house accounts, there wasn't any sales compensation. It got to the point where this company was offering free hotshot delivery up to 3 times a day because they thought this was good because they were driven by margin percent. So if we think margin percent is an approximation for profitability, then high margin is good and low margin is bad, when in fact it was exactly the opposite in this particular case when you looked at value equation economics. So, and then they said, well, if we listen to the customers, what the customers are saying is fill in the blank. Well, these 1,600 customers are owner-operators. They beat up the salespeople. They play every game they can. Every nickel is theirs. They're working 100 hours a week to try to survive, and most of them are slowly dying. If you looked at the nature of their business, they really can't even sell it to a next generation. So what's the net present value? If you look at the losses you have this year and the losses you'll have next year, before they then tap out and leave you with a write-off, this isn't a very happy story looking down the road. So we need to take these guys, put them in a new division, and treat them in a different way. Let's see, 0.56, all these little stories here. The very bottom bar chart was really actually a handful of accounts. It was about 30 big retail chain stores where they'd put out a big contract. Here's all the stuff we plan to buy this next year. Do you want to bid it? But then they'd have 10, 20, 30, 40 stores where each store manager potentially could buy however they wanted to buy. And they would notice that out of 30 branch stores, 28 of them had guys who were buying on a, oh, I'm out of it, I need to buy emergency rush basis. But 2 of them actually would say, this is what I'm selling on a monthly basis. What do I need to have in stock? And so they would do a monthly restocking, so it would generate a big order on big picks. And their sales on those items were actually growing because they always had it in stock. You're going to have more sales. Whereas the people that are saying, oh, I don't have it in stock today, then customers aren't going to buy it. So a question would be when you go out to these big chains is to say, look, thank you for the business overall. Unfortunately, at the store level, we're losing our rear end, and we think you are too, because we have statistical friction that shows that some of your stores are buying an enormously inefficient rush way, which means terrible fill rates for your customers, lost sales, and you've got some store managers who are doing really well. So how do we go figure out what the best store managers are doing and make sure the rest of them learn and move them all up to being in a best practice, excellent thing, and basically the byproducts, you consolidate a lot of small picks and a lot of small orders, and now the cost to serve drops dramatically. The gross margin dollar actually may start to climb. If they have it in stock, they'll actually get more sales than they had in the past when they had spotty stocking in their stores. So that was a big opportunity.